Welcome back to Beyond the BEO. I can't believe that it is already season 8. I can't believe that it's 2026. And, I love a theme. We're event planners, we all do. So in 2024, I did the 3 C's to kick off the year. Last year, I did the 3 D's. And this year, got to stick to the theme. I'm doing the 3 E's. And this is really what I think is going to be guiding corporate events, B2B events for 2026. And 2025 was a crazy year, right? You had so many changes, changes to travel and destinations that people were looking at. You had groups that are really kind of starting to do events for the first time. I know that for me, a lot of the clients I'm speaking to, it's the first time that they're really formalizing internal events. And it's because they're realizing how important it is. Because, yes, like a lot of people have returned to the office on some kind of regular basis. But even if you are in the office, you're likely working with teams across the country, across the world. And so bringing people together, like people are realizing how important that is. So I'm really excited to kind of get into it, hear what all of you are thinking is going to guide this year. I think that what 2025 proved, and we've been proving for the last few years, is that events are here. Events are here to stay. People are willing to put the budget in, willing to put the resources into it, and the ones that are doing it are seeing the payoff for it for sure. So, 3 E's. My first E is engaging. I think that as, a year ago, AI was dominating the conversation, and it's still dominating the conversation, and with great reason. I think that it's going to do a lot to help speed up our processes, automate a lot of things. I think it's going to make attendee experience even better and can probably personalize things in a way that we just didn't have time to do before. But we're also starting to see that like excitement waning of people were so excited it was going to replace every job, it was going to solve all these problems, and then now they're starting to realize it kind of solves some of these problems, or it solves these problems very, very well, but it doesn't solve other problems very, very well. And I think that the AI, yes, is going to still be part of our work, but the more that we rely on it, especially in content, people are going to be leaning on in person to create that content, to get the buzz in the room, and to kind of break through the noise, right? Like when you have people on site, you've got them. But you can't just be like, here is 1,000 slide decks and we're just going to talk at you all day about the things we want to talk about. It's really going to be about engaging attendees in a way that is exciting to them. And I'm hoping that more and more organizations take on what their attendees really want versus trying to be selfish and thinking, okay, well, we're trying to push this new product or this aligns to our KPIs, which like, yes, it does have to align to your goals, but what are the goals of your attendee and putting those at the forefront and then working your way back to tie it into the goals of your business, right? So how are we engaging folks on site? And how are we engaging them before and after, right? With the use of technology to create more personalized invites, personalized know before you goes. Once they get on site, is it just a boring registration where you just walk in and come grab a name badge? Or is it exciting? Is it like, is there a party happening? Is the vibe of the event already kicked off, from the airport? And engaging folks throughout the event, and especially as we move away from like such alcohol-based events. And of course, alcohol will still be at events. A lot of events will still have that aspect of it, but it's being called out as the crutch that it can be used as, right? So how are we engaging folks in a way that is fresh and exciting, but isn't just here's an open bar, right? So I think what we really need to do is figure out the goals of our attendees, and your event should really have 2 goals. It should have the goal of the organization, what are you trying to accomplish, and what are your attendees trying to accomplish? Why are they taking 2-3 days or more to come to your event, to spend the money? What are you giving them that they couldn't just get at home watching a webinar, right? And then moving into kind of the next E, and really tied into that first one, is the exclusivity. And again, I think that there's some things that tech will be able to help us with that it will make things seem really exclusive or seem really personalized, even when it's not. But there is also this move away from, well, do we need to fly 5,000 people to a very expensive resort city to host this event? Or can we get more exclusive with our guest list? Can we do more targeted, tailored events? Smaller events that, yes, it's a bigger lift on the team internally, but if you are going to people, you're going to get more attendees. So, for example, years ago, I worked at a company where we did lunch and learns and breakfast and learns across the country. We started in Newfoundland and ended in British Columbia, and we'd kind of rotate through, and every 12 weeks would repeat a city. And people used to be so excited that we were going to Regina, that we were going to, Edmonton, right? These places that don't normally get the largest events. Big tech companies are not necessarily hosting an event in St. John's because it just doesn't have the infrastructure to support it. So, but by going to them, one, we showed that we were thinking about them, that they weren't just an afterthought. Most tech companies weren't willing to send folks there. They would just do Zoom calls or whatever. And this is long before the days of, a lot of remote work. And it just showed that we were thinking about them, right? And so you make these events smaller, they make them feel more exclusive. It gives you the opportunity to engage and interact more one-on-one versus it's great to show photos of 5,000 people in a room, but how many people can your folks actually talk to, right? I used to have this conversation with a CMO of, it's great that there's going to be 20,000 people at this trade show, but your sales rep can only talk to 6, maybe 10 people an hour if they're really hustling. So give that exclusivity and that smaller environment that will allow you to actually engage with your attendees in a deeper way, that they remember you, that you are building a deeper relationship versus a 2-minute conversation, if you even get to have that on site. And then finally, this one, it's a little silly, but I think it's also really important. And I'm going to call it the emotional support event planner. So a couple of times last year, I got hired on to do day of support for events. And a lot of times it was either a more junior person was leading the event, or the event was just bigger than what their whole team could manage. And so I was coming in as additional support that could kind of oversee certain areas of the event to take that off of their plate and just showing up on site. And I did one recently, kind of near the end of the year, where it was a more junior person to me was leading it. She had a good amount of brand ambassadors and external help helping her, but she didn't really have any other senior planners on site. And there, as events do, issues came up. And I remember her coming to me and just telling me this has come up and this is what I'm going to do about it. And I would say, okay, that sounds good. Or, okay, but have you thought about this? Or have you asked about that? And, sometimes even I would joke with her because she would come tell me, and I'm like, do you want me to come with you to have this conversation that's probably not going to go very well, or that someone's not going to be happy about? And she would think about it, and it was no, I'm good. I just wanted to run it by you. And I think that especially in an event or in a role where you can feel very lonely a lot of times, having that other sounding board is really important. Just kind of a gut check of, hey, this thing has come up that I've never encountered before or encountered in a different way. And I just want to make sure that I'm actually doing the right thing, or have you come across this in the past, right? And so I think that we're going to see more people expanding the support that they're using on site, because we know how tough it is already on site, especially if you're running let's say a user conference or an incentive trip where you've got your main sessions, you've got breakouts, you've got satellite events, you've got VIPs coming in, and you kind of need to offload those things. And yes, can your team take it and manage it? Yes. Of course, they probably could, but will they have a better experience and will their mental load be lighter if they know that they can check in with someone else on certain things or have other things taken care of? Because we know that events are such a tough mental load and like you have 8,000 things going through your head at once. So removing some of that noise, it can really help your planners on your team be less stressed, less burnt out after an event, right? We all know they're exhausting. So I think that I'm going to call it the emotional support event planner of just someone to give that gut check, either right before the event or during the event, someone else that you can rely on because no one else is going to really understand what you're going through besides another event planner. So I would love to hear what you think are the you can choose your own letters or you don't need to theme it. But like what do you think is going to be driving events in 2026? I know that there's going to be a lot of them. So I'm excited to hear what everyone has to say. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time.